What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the channel. This video, we're breaking down how to hit like a D1 outside. Let's get right into it. This past weekend, my team, Marymount Men's Volleyball, played in our final day of our fall season. Something we do every single year. We play against George Mason, which is a Division I program in the Nova area up in Fairfax, about 30 minutes away from our campus here in Arlington. And it's a great opportunity for our guys to challenge themselves against some bigger, stronger, more athletic competition, but also getting some really great reps to round out our fall season. So we played Mason, got to scrimmage a couple of their teams, play about 10 to 12 sets total between our guys, Mason, as well as EMU, who was also there, who we played. But really great opportunity to get out there and just play some ball. There were plenty of great moments from us. Plenty of great moments from the other side. And we'll touch on some of the clips from Mason in this video, primarily on what it takes to be an outside hitter at the Division I level, touching on some attributes of some of their players and some evidence in some of the clips as to how they're able to do what they do at such a high level. So with that, let's get right into the video and break it down for you guys. So there's three things that you need to be a Division I outside hitter at the next level. This is a very short list of many things, but these are three criteria that I think are prudent and dang near required to play and definitely start at the D1 level. First one being touching almost 11 feet. You need to be one of the highest hitters in your gym. If you want to play Division I and start, you got to be touching near the top of the antenna on your approach jump. That gives you the most options to hit over, around the block, and capitalize on one-on-one options when you get them. Secondly, you have to be able to hit the BIC. BIC is a back row quick, back row fast tempo attack from the 10-foot line, the 3-meter line, and you have to be able to not only do that well, but be able to terminate on that when those opportunities come for you. Mason's a team that incorporates the BIC heavily into their offense. When they are in system and get a good pass, it is probably one of their top three options from a setting decision to keep the BIC active, which frees up the middle and just frees up everything else. Becomes really challenging for the opposing middle to make choices on who to block once you have an active BIC coming from the back row. They have two guys that can do it exceptionally well, and it puts tons of pressure on the other team, so it's a staple. Lastly, you got to be able to work the block. Hitting hard, bouncing balls is great, but how deep of a bag do you have as a hitter? Can you recycle well? Can you chisel the block? Can you show one thing and hit another thing? That's what really is the element of next level swinging that takes you from maybe a Division III hitter to the next level of being really crafty, really smart, always finding ways to get kills when opportunities arise. So those are my three things. We'll break down some of those a little bit further with some film. So let's get right into that. All right, so George Mason has two outside hitters that I really want to focus on. They did some special things against us. They had some highlight plays, and we're going to break those down. But first, I want to focus on why they're able to hit so well, so hard, bounce the ball to the floor. It's all about kinetic energy. If you remember in maybe some science or physics classes back in elementary school, kinetic energy is a buildup of mass and velocity, which leads into potential energy. So think about it this way. Your approach is you building up your kinetic energy. Your jump is your potential energy leading into your swing. One thing that these two guys, Gio and Liam, do better than anyone I've seen in a long time is building up their kinetic energy. We see this clip here. Gio takes this ball and serve receive, and immediately he is into a shuffle step that moves him right into his approach. So he's shuffle step right into his 4-step approach, and the shuffle step is almost an extension of his approach. It's almost like when you're on a track and you have your feet are on the block. Like this shuffle step is his jump off that block to lead into a really fast approach to track down this ball. Bringing kinetic energy back into the equation, you never see him slowing down in this approach. He's always moving forward or sideways into forward. So by the time he gets on his last 2 steps to launch, he has all this force, he has all this speed and all this velocity to get up fast and high and contact this ball at a really high point. I mean, you can see by the result in this video that by doing all those things, he just murders this ball. So kinetic energy, maybe you're not thinking about that in every time you approach the ball, but think about it this way. No wasted movement. I harp on this all the time, but positive steps in your approach, making sure that every step is forward, you aren't stopping at all during your approach, gives you the best chance to jump your highest and hit that ball the hardest. He shows what the result of that can be in real time when you put those pieces together. I talked about touching 11 foot, and we could see in that last clip how Gio touches nearly the top of the antenna. He's getting his head well above the net, chest well above the net, and that's great. That's awesome, but can you do it from the back row? You can do it from the front row, and when you have one-on-one block and you have some free net, but can you do it from the back row? Gio shows his ability to do that, getting a very similar approach here, starting almost in the back line, getting a good 4-step approach, and really broad jumping into this ball and putting it down. Bics are a lot about timing, so that takes practice, that takes repetition, connecting with your setter to make sure that you know what kind of ball they're gonna put up for you. This is pretty much a 2 ball that's like 1.5 feet off the net, so it gives him time and space to launch, use that great vertical that he has, contact it high, and then it's really tough on the defense to block a ball like this. Quote unquote open net. You got all your options as a hitter and on where you want to hit this ball, and he puts it right down the center, and that's a kill. So if you want to be a D1 outside, running the bic has to be a part of your game. If you're not getting your head above the net on those back row attacks, that's a sign to me as a coach. This guy's a Division I caliber player. I love that you can bounce it from the front row. Can you do it from the back row when we need you and make you a 6 rotation player and a real threat? That's the question. The last tip that I brought up earlier on in the video is how well can you work the block? How well can you make something happen when it's not the best set or you have 4 hands in front of you? Doing that efficiently and effectively will make you a great high-level attacker and is a necessity at the D1 level. You can see on this clip here, Mason gets a free ball, which pulls our setter a little bit off the net, so he's around the 10-foot line. So immediately, our middle, Mason Moore, is pulled over on this gap ball, on this 30, and they run an over gap set to the outside, which allows our middle, Mason, to get over in time, and Liam smartly, instead of trying to bounce this ball into the seam with 4 hands, chooses to swing high and deep, gets a touch on the block, and that's about the easiest kill you can get in the books. High, chiseled, off the top of the hands. Like I said earlier, if you're touching 11 foot, you're able to swing on top of the block instead of swinging under it. When you swing under and try and hit up, that's when you start getting blocked. Becomes tough. as a hitter to do that. So the higher contact point you can swing, the better likelihood for success. Swinging deep is really just about your contact point, right? You're not going to let that ball fall lower on the net, and you're going to contact it high and just finish. Right? It's a very similar swing, just different attack points on where you're going to contact the ball. Liam does it great, puts that ball in the corner, gets an easy kill. One other clip here that I just have to include in this compilation of outside attacks, Liam French, another absolute line bounce here. I mean, this one just goes to show how playing with speed can be really impactful. You can see he's head above the net, arm at the top of the antenna, contacting at a super high point, beats the block, and when you can do all those things well, combined with using all your force, mass, and velocity to get your highest jump, good luck stopping this. I'm excited to see Liam this year. I think he's going to be a big-time player as a senior, and if you want to be a Division I player, you have to put in the work in the gym physically to be touching this point. Doesn't matter how tall you are. I'm not going to put a cap on how tall you have to be to hit like this. You could be 5'10" and jump head above the net. You can be 6'7" and jump 20 inches, but your head's above the net. Regardless, you got to hit high. You got to be able to swing fast, and these are guys that do that not only really well, but do it consistently. So hope some of these clips help you guys realize what it means to compete at that Division I level. Coaching a lot of D3, we still see tons of great talent. We competed with these guys in almost all of our matches. We played against them, so not to say that there's an enormous gap between D3 and D1, but there's definitely a gap in some sorts of places between some of those physical elements, some of the size things, but from a game perspective, you'll get some of the great things you see in D1 still at that D3 level. So yeah, fun clips to watch though. Always love to see the highlights, and yeah, hope you guys will like the video. We'll keep them coming, so hit those comments up, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.